Hey guys, welcome to ANIMEized. This is the English translated version of the novel Throneofseal. The novel differs slightly from the Chinese animation or donghua. If you want more of these videos, please smash the like button, subscribe, and turn on the notifications. Enjoy and have a blessed day.
Her attack was very simple, using her spatial gate spirit furnace for instantaneous teleportation, and she appeared behind the warrior assessor, who was also a warrior in the combat temple. She then unleashed her breaker cannon with great force. The warrior assessor could only turn around in time and instinctively use his shield to defend, but in the next moment, his shield shattered, and he was sent flying. Thrown more than 20 meters away, crashing heavily into the ground, leaving a trench in the ground of the warrior's training area. The battle ended. Oh no, the assessment ended. HaoYue was also quite surprised by her achievement and muttered, "The spirit furnace is really useful." The other 4 assessors standing by the side were momentarily petrified. What had just happened? In an instant, did that female warrior just use instant teleportation? A warrior capable of instant teleportation? Or was it due to HanYu's considerate healing spell that the warrior of the temple was spared from severe injuries? In reality, the gap in strength between HaoYue and the warrior assessor wasn't as vast as it had appeared. However, the effect of the spatial gate spirit furnace was truly remarkable, not only enabling instantaneous teleportation, but also nearly perfectly concealing HaoYue's spiritual energy fluctuations during the teleportation. If the warrior assessor hadn't instinctively sensed the danger and turned around, the breaker cannon would have struck him directly. With the increase in her own strength, HaoYue had also been able to unleash the power of the Shield of Giant God more effectively, and the breaker cannon itself was a formidable skill of the Shield of Giant God. Caught off guard. Even though the warrior assessor had slightly higher spiritual energy than HaoYue, he couldn't withstand the attack, which was why he suffered such a heavy blow. Of course, he wasn't seriously injured, but that was because HaoYue hadn't pursued further. He got up with a disheveled and embarrassed appearance, and the warrior assessor didn't even have the nerve to look at HaoYue, just muttering. Assessment passed. Then he hurriedly walked away. HaoYue returned to her teammate's side, shrugged her shoulders, indicating that she hadn't anticipated the extent of the spatial gate spirit furnace's capabilities. Chen Er gave her a thumbs up and laughed. Impressive! The 4 assessors on the side were still in shock. On the side of Commander Level Number 21 Demon Hunting Squad, Cai Er had already walked slowly into the center of the field, heading toward the center of the arena. The assassin assessor's eyes narrowed instantly. He was also a seasoned assassin, and from Cai Er's steps, he could tell that he was likely not dealing with a weak opponent, and furthermore, based on what was written on the form, this person was also a vice-captain. The other 3 assessors nodded firmly at the assassin assessor, indicating that he had to regain his lost dignity. The assassin assessor's narrowed eyes suddenly gleamed with sharpness, and with silent and swift steps, he entered the arena. Cai Er's hand shimmered with green light, and the green bamboo staff she had used before appeared in her hand. She then signaled to the assassin assessor and said, "I'm ready." The assassin assessor was furious. How dare she underestimate him? Did she really intend to face him with a green bamboo staff? He suppressed his anger, and in a swift movement, he vanished into thin air. This was the most powerful ability of a 6th rank assassin, invisibility. Although full invisibility required an assassin to reach the 8th rank, even making one's form disappear greatly enhanced the assassin's abilities. Facing the disappearance of the assassin assessor, Cai Er stood still without moving, as if she had turned into stone. Suddenly, a dark shadow appeared in the air, and 2 black glows descended from above Cai Er's head like 2 sea serpents. Right at that moment, Cai Er moved. She seemed to have simply shifted her shoulder slightly, and in the next instant, a single Cai Er had turned into 6. Yes, it's 6 of them, and each one of them looks so real. What's even more terrifying is that the movements of the 6 Cai Er are different, and the 6 green bamboo staffs simultaneously stab at different positions in the air. Puff, 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 puff. The 6 clashes almost instantly appear in the air. Then, the silhouette of the assassin assessor appears in midair. What happens next is even more astonishing. The 6 Cai Er each make different movements, some attacking from below to above, some leaping into the air and striking from above. The 6 green bamboo staffs sweep together in the air, forming a seamless web. What's next? The battle ends right after that. The assassin assessor's back is harshly struck, and he crashes to the ground. The 6 Cai Er instantly merge into one, and the green bamboo staff touches his throat briefly. Then she walks straight toward her teammates. The assassin assessor wasn't struck too hard, and he quickly gets back up. However, unlike the warrior assessor, he doesn't hurry to leave, but rather, he urgently asks, "Why can your shadow clones split into 6? Aren't we, as 6th rank assassins, limited to a maximum of 3 clones? And they should be 2 fakes and 1 real, but yours?" Cai Er calmly says, "I have no need to instruct you, and you wouldn't be able to do it anyway." As she says this, she has already returned to longhaochen's side. Lin Xin says in a low voice. Such an imposing presence. The assessor's expressions become even more grim. As assessors promoted to marshal level from commander level, it's normal for them to be defeated. But it's not normal to be defeated so quickly, especially by opponents with lower spiritual energy. It's my turn. After the completion of the assessments for the 3 melee professions, it's time for the mage. Lin Xin even walks out with a hint of excitement. The mage assessor's expression doesn't look too good, and there's a lot of caution in their eyes as they enter the arena. When he sees Lin Xin's fire crystal staff, his expression becomes even more unpleasant. Of course, you can't judge a mage's equipment just by looking at it, but the dense elemental fluctuations emanating from that staff tell him it's of a high level, and it's a high explosive fire type. The mage assessor's thoughts at this moment are, I hope I don't get roasted. Lin Xin has just spoken, saying he's ready, and this mage assessor rapidly casts defensive magic on himself. His element is wind, and he is surrounded by a green light. Then he uses his wings to fly into the air. Being in the air, wind mages are the most agile among all mages. Speaking of which, these assessors are really startled. The previous 2 battles ended so quickly, mainly due to unexpected factors, like Wang Yuanyuan's spatial gate spirit furnace, and Cai Er's shadow clones were abnormal. Cai Er's 3 spirit furnaces merged into one, with most of the power coming from the reincarnation spirit furnace, but it's still a fusion of 3 spirit furnaces. And she has the talent of a saintess of reincarnation, which led to her 6-fold transformation, with one of the clones having an attacking role. Therefore, the first 2 assessors' defeats were somewhat unfair. If they had focused on defense, even if Wang Yuanyuan and Cai Er had won, it would have required a battle of attrition. The mage assessor in front of them has learned from the mistakes of the previous 2. And he's planning to take a cautious approach, at least to salvage some pride. Unfortunately, he encounters Lin Xin, a mage who doesn't use offensive magic. He focuses on defense, and Lin Xin is delighted. He raises his fire crystal staff high, pretending to chant a spell, and a dense concentration of fire elements gathers on the staff, giving the illusion that he's about to cast a powerful spell. This leads the mage assessor to cast defensive spells one after another, hoping to withstand Lin Xin's first attack before counterattacking. Little does he know, Lin Xin isn't actually chanting an offensive spell, but instead, he's infusing magic into the staff and blending it with fire magic. When a massive blue flame skull rises into the air, heading straight for the mage assessor in midair. The only thing the assessor can do is turn and run. With the infusion of up to 5,000 spiritual energy and the amplifying power of the staff's fire magic, the shimmering blue heart flame spirit furnace combined with the evolved fire from the fire phoenix spirit furnace, even a 7th rank powerhouse wouldn't dare to confront it head-on. So, the mage assessor chooses to flee. Don't forget, Lin Xin received even more benefits in the dream paradise than Wang Yuanyuan, and even among the entire team, his gains were among the best. Eventually, under Lin Xin's control, the massive fire magic skull is halted in midair, and the mage assessor concedes defeat. However, Lin Xin overlooks one thing. As he infused nearly all of his spiritual energy, he loses control of the spell. In the end, the fire magic explodes in the center of the arena. The massive explosion sends both the mage assessor and Lin Xin flying, leaving them both covered in soot. 3 consecutive battles, 3 victories in a row, undoubtedly boosts the morale of the commander level number 21 demon hunting squad. Next, it's ShiMa Xian's turn. He's a priest, yes, a red bishop. ShiMa Xian's opponent is the only female assessor. When she sees ShiMa Xian, clad in armor, walking toward the arena, there's a hint of confusion in her eyes. This round is the priest assessment. The female assessor says so. ShiMa Xian's power pill of light is still being forged, so he's holding his original oversized staff, gesturing and saying, I am a priest, didn't you see that on the form I filled out? I am Red Bishop ShiMa Xian. Haha. As soon as ShiMa Xian speaks, the commander level number 21 demon hunting squad members all burst into laughter, including longhaochen. Lin Xin sneered. What red bishop? I think a red butcher would be more suitable. ShiMa Xian, feeling embarrassed and angry, glanced at them and then gestured with the staff in his hand. Saying, he gestured to the female examiner with the staff in his hand and said, Respected examiner, it's like this, I'm a rather special priest, a rare disciplined priest, have you heard of it? The priest examiner looked at him in confusion. Disciplined priest, what is that? ShiMa Xian replied earnestly. It's about maintaining discipline, responsible for the rules within the priest temple. Well, to put it bluntly, it's a priest primarily focused on combat. Or how about this? One-on-one might not be fair to you. I'll launch an attack in an open space. If you think you can withstand it, we'll continue, otherwise, you can consider me passed in the assessment. As he spoke, he didn't wait for their consent, he enthusiastically raised his staff. Indeed, ShiMa Xian's spirit furnace had also completed its synthesis. Furthermore, he was the most miserable one during the synthesis process, almost turning into barbecue. But it was precisely because of this that the terrifying power of his spirit furnace synthesis was even more evident. At this moment, after he raised his staff, a rich golden light instantly shone, then, a dense purple electric light suddenly appeared around the staff. At ShiMa Xian's chest, a dense purple light glowed, completely coloring his chest armor the same color. He pointed the staff to the side. Instantly, a golden sphere flew out. This was no ordinary light element sphere. Around the sphere, there were numerous purple lightning bolts swirling. As the sphere flew, those purple lightning bolts seemed to merge into the golden sphere, instantly turning into a purple gold color. And then, boom! The sphere landed on the ground, and it seemed like everyone felt a slight numbness in their bodies. On the left side of the warrior's trial ground, a crater with a diameter of over 3 meters appeared before everyone's eyes. Astonishingly, the depth of this crater was also about 3 meters. The terrifying attack power left everyone speechless. What's even more terrifying is, at this moment, around ShiMa Xian's body, those purple golden orbs began to rotate around his body, not many in number, just a total of 9. Each of them is only the size of a fist, but when he raised his staff again, one of the orbs attached itself to the tip of the staff. And it grew in size at an astonishing rate. All right, you pass. The female priest chose to surrender without hesitation. Is this what a priest is? Even if this female examiner had a gentle personality, she couldn't help but feel the urge to scold. So, the 4th round of assessment came to an end. ShiMa Xian returned to his companions with a triumphant look, glanced at Lin Xin, and said, "Brother, do you see my purple phantom thunder spirit furnace?" Hee. Lin Xin snorted and said, "It's still not quite as good as my blue fire phoenix spirit furnace." Surprisingly, ShiMa Xian didn't argue back and said, "That's right, it definitely can't compare to your blue fire phoenix. Brother Lin, you see, when are you going to introduce that little white flower to me?" "We'll talk about it later." Lin Xin felt that just the 3 words, fire phoenix, weren't cool enough, so he added blue in front of it. After ShiMa Xian synthesized his 2 spirit furnaces, he named them the Purple Phantom Thunder Spirit Furnace. That's the terrifying attack everyone just witnessed. As for their specific uses, even ShiMa Xian is still practicing with them. The only thing that can be certain is that his spirit furnace has an extremely powerful burst ability, and it can have a sustained effect on the battlefield. The backlash effect is also continuous. If the backlash reaches its extreme, it's quite simple. The red bishop would turn into a roasted pig in red robes. Several examiners gathered together, watching the commander level number 21 demon hunting squad. They seemed to be looking at monsters. They were all at the 6th rank. But why was the gap so significant? They were all discerning individuals. They might not have guessed that HaoYue and Cai Er used spirit furnaces in battle. However, Lin Xin and ShiMa Xian's abilities are clearly different from their own attributes, especially ShiMa Xian's use of the Purple Phantom Thunder Spirit Furnace is too obvious, so much so that the examiners can only envy and resent them, feeling that life is unfair. Chen Yin Er, holding McDull the pig, walked out excitedly, saying, "It's my turn. It's my turn." Looking at her appearance, even the Soul Temple examiner didn't walk out and smiled bitterly. "All right, you don't need to undergo the assessment either. Based on the strength you all showed just now, even a seasoned martial-level demon hunting squad wouldn't be much better. You've passed the assessment as well. When our colleague returns, if he has no objections, you will smoothly advance to the rank of martial-level demon hunting squad." At this point, what's the point of further assessment? Continuing the assessment would be humiliating, wouldn't it? From Chen Yin Er's expression, they could tell that she had potential. The strength of the entire team is deserving of the title martial level. As for that young knight, he's the captain, and the team members are all so formidable. How could the captain be any less so? Just then, 2 people walked in from outside the warrior temple, both dressed in knightly armor. One of them was the previous knight examiner. The other knight appeared to be slightly older, and was clearly leading the way, striding confidently into the arena. The Holy Alliance's Grand Trial Grounds had automatic repair capabilities in every arena, so the traces left in the arena from the previous assessments had mostly disappeared by now. The knight examiner looked at everyone in confusion, and said to the other examiners, "Didn't I tell you to assess the others first? Why did everything come to a halt?" The magic examiner replied irritably, "We've all completed our assessments. It's your turn now. Everyone else has passed the assessment. So quickly? You were defeated so quickly?" The knight examiner said in astonishment. The other examiners weren't about to answer such an awkward question. They just rolled their eyes at him, and turned away. The knight examiner, after a brief shock, had returned to normal. Thinking to himself, the reputation of the Grand Knight Commander is truly great. Thankfully, I didn't have to intervene. Judging by the way they look, it's clear that they've suffered a loss. While he was thinking, he had already arrived in front of LongHaochen. His tone had become much more polite than before. "Hello, Captain Long, I have reported your situation to the Grand Knight Commander." The Grand Knight Commander said, "Considering that you have a Squire Knight, your assessment will be more challenging. You will undergo the assessment together with your Squire Knight, and it will be conducted by this Senior Temple Knight. Only if you, working together as a team, defeat this Senior Temple Knight, can you be promoted to martial level." LongHaochen was momentarily stunned. and HanYu couldn't help but say, "Examiner, this seems rather unfair, doesn't it? We're only 6th rank knights, making us defeat a powerful 7th rank knight is almost impossible." The Knight Examiner helplessly said, "These are the words of the Grand Knight Commander. The Grand Knight Commander also instructed me to tell you," he said, "if you can't do it, then go back and train more. Come back for the assessment when you're capable." Was HanYu not familiar with his grandfather? The Knight Examiner even mimicked Han Qian's tone when speaking. HanYu couldn't help but look at longhaochen with speechlessness and whispered, "It seems like Grandpa doesn't want us to become martial-level demon hunting squad so soon." Longhaochen smiled slightly and said, "In that case, let's give it a try. Our master doesn't fully understand our current strength." As he spoke, he performed a proper knight's salute to the 7th rank Temple Knight, and the Temple Knight returned the salute. "Hello, esteemed senior Temple Knight, may I ask, are you a Mithril Silver Knight?" The Temple Knight shook his head and said, "No, I am currently striving towards the Mithril pedestal." Hearing his response, both longhaochen and HanYu breathed a sigh of relief, and longhaochen said, "Then let our assessment begin." The Knight Examiner looked at longhaochen and HanYu in astonishment, and thought to himself, are these two really going to undergo the assessment? In his view, Grand Knight Commander Han Qian's order was clearly meant to challenge them, and he didn't want them to become a martial-level demon hunting squad so soon. Judging by the Grand Knight Commander's expression at the time, he seemed to be protecting them greatly. But these two were actually going to challenge beyond their rank. In the minds of most professionals, challenging beyond one's rank was an impossible task. The gap between levels was also a huge gap in strength. Overcoming the levels was almost an impossible task. Even 2 against 1 would be the same. Going from the 6th rank to the 7th rank, that was a qualitative change. However, the Temple Knight didn't say anything. Just nodded, and said very politely, "Captain Long, please." As he spoke, he took the lead and walked towards the arena. Listening to the somewhat friendly tone of the Temple Knight, longhaochen and HanYu followed him into the arena and asked, "Senior, do you know me?" The Temple Knight smiled slightly and said, "I've heard my colleagues talk about the miracles of Captain Long on the battlefield. I also admire Captain Long's strength. You are a true hero." Longhaochen suddenly realized that this knight knew about his actions at Jinnan Pass. However, for the current assessment, this knowledge was not necessarily a good thing. Nevertheless, for the current assessment, it was clearly not a favorable situation. Since others had heard about everything he did at Jinnan Pass, there would be no underestimating him. A 7th-rank Temple Knight fully engaged in the battle, just the thought of it gave him a headache. While longhaochen and HanYu were feeling a bit down, the Temple Knight, without hesitation, summoned his mount. A golden light flashed, and a white unicorn appeared beside him. The Temple Knight mounted the unicorn, holding a 2-meter long spear in his hand. The spear gleamed with a brilliant golden color, and its sharp edge emitted a fluctuating radiance. It was clearly an extraordinary weapon, most likely of the splendid grade. While his unicorn wasn't a powerful starlight unicorn, even an ordinary unicorn was a 6th-rank mount. Longhaochen smiled wryly and said, "You don't need to be so serious. You even summoned your mount." The Temple Knight smiled faintly and said, "This is the respect that a hero deserves. I'm not confident in defeating both of you, so I will do my best. It's an honor to spar with Captain Long. I deeply admire your strength. You can also summon your mount partners. Then we can begin the assessment." Although he summoned his mount early, it's clear that he won't gain any advantage over longhaochen and HanYu. The helplessness and bitter smiles on their faces gradually disappeared. Longhaochen's eyes revealed a serious expression. On his forehead, a faint purple light flashed, and in the next moment, a massive figure appeared in front of him, which turned out to be HaoYue. HaoYue has evolved into 4 heads. The massive body, nearly 10 meters in length, appeared on the battlefield, causing a shock throughout the field. The Temple Knight's pupils suddenly contracted, clearly feeling the immense pressure. On the other side, the evil eye, with a diameter of over 1 meter, silently appeared behind HanYue. After continuous evolution, it now had as many as 4 tentacles, gently swaying around its body, its cold gaze fixed on the Temple Knights not far away. Longhaochen tiptoed, lightly leaped, landing on HaoYue's back, his right fist across his chest, and then gave a knight's salute, saying in a deep voice, "Please, senior, teach me." All 4 heads of HaoYue lifted simultaneously, and their 4 differently colored eyes radiated intense fighting spirit. After returning to the priest temple earlier, Longhaochen left HaoYue to recuperate in the Tower of Eternity. After all, it wouldn't affect HaoYue's training no matter where it was, and after it evolved the 4th head, it would easily attract attention, so Longhaochen couldn't bring it all the way back to Holy City. At this moment, after summoning HaoYue, Longhaochen clearly felt HaoYue's strong desire for battle, as if it had been suppressed for too long in that black and red space. Is this an Earth Dragon?" The Knight Examiner, watching from a distance, had sweat on his forehead. He had seen Earth Dragons before, as his own mount was an Earth Dragon, but his mount was not even half the size of HaoYue. HaoYue, with a length approaching 10 meters, stood there, with a height exceeding 3 meters. And at this moment, LongHaoChen was looking down at his opponent. Moreover, what kind of earth dragon was this? It had 4 heads. The other examiners were still feeling down about their own failures, but when they saw HaoYue enter the scene, all their frustration disappeared in an instant. They had doubts. They couldn't possibly be a match for this terrifying magical beast. The demon hunting squad truly lives up to its name. It's incredibly powerful. The Temple Knights were seasoned warriors, and after a brief moment of astonishment, they quickly regained their composure. After saluting LongHaoChen, one of them shouted loudly, "Let's begin." As he spoke, he spurred his unicorn and rapidly charged toward HaoYue, causing a burst of spiritual power fluctuations around his body due to the intense light elements. You could clearly see, the mighty sacred light fire instantly ignited on both him and his unicorn. A powerful pressure emanated in full force, and the right arm of this Temple Knight directly turned transparent gold, which was the radiant body, and he went all out from the start. The other examiners quickly opened the protective barrier of the Temple of Warriors without hesitation. This was a battle between 6th and 7th ranked powerhouses, and they were using mounts as well. They couldn't imagine the destruction they might cause without the protective barrier. Surprisingly, HanYue and his evil eye on the side remained motionless. Without cooperating with LongHaoChen, they just stood there at a distance, HanYue with his shield and sword, silently watching the situation in the field. No one had more confidence in LongHaoChen than him. He had personally witnessed LongHaoChen complete the awakening ritual of the god's descendant. What difference did it make to a 7th ranked powerhouse? Could a Temple Knight who had recently reached the 7th rank truly defeat LongHaoChen? A 6th ranked 6th level knight? HaoYue didn't need any orders from LongHaoChen. It moved as the unicorn on the opposite side did, and its sturdy limbs stomped the ground abruptly, its hooves flying, charging straight towards the Temple Knight. Meanwhile, low or high-pitched chants echoed from the 4 heads, and the different lights in their eyes grew brighter. The unicorn spread its wings, and in the midst of its charge, it suddenly leaped into the air, following closely behind the Temple Knight. A pair of enormous spiritual wings also spread out, and along with the unicorn, they maintained a synchronized rhythm and flapped forcefully. Their speed almost tripled in that instant, becoming a golden streak, heading straight for LongHaoChen on HaoYue's back, and the spear in the Temple Knight's hand was the pinnacle of that golden streak. The distance between the two sides was not too great to begin with, and the Temple Knight, riding the unicorn, soared into the air, then descended rapidly in an instant, in an incredibly swift motion. And it was precisely at this moment that each of HaoYue's 4 heads released a spell. After HaoYue's evolution, it didn't just gain an additional small head, its evolution was all-encompassing, and you could see this from the magic they were now releasing. A burst of green light shot up into the sky, directly affecting the Temple Knight and the unicorn, causing their forward momentum to suddenly decrease drastically. The Temple Knight's body trembled, and the sacred light fire instantly doubled in intensity, finally dispersing the green light in the shortest time possible. Wind Binding Spell, a 5th rank wind-based restraining magic. Wind is the fastest element, but the subsequent attacks become even more formidable. A massive fireball and a massive ice ball simultaneously shot into the sky, both magic spells having a diameter of over 2 meters, red and blue colors filling the air as they ascended, creating a true world of ice and fire. Moreover, the instant they ascended, they locked onto the Temple Knight and his mount, the unicorn, and even the air around them changed colors. The Temple Knight felt as if he was standing in extreme heat, while his back was in freezing cold. This was a true combination of ice and fire. A golden light spewed out by Xiaoguang directly landed on LongHaoChen. It was a dazzling golden light sphere, landing right on LongHaoChen's chest. In that moment, LongHaoChen felt as if his spiritual power was boiling within him, and in his perception, he sensed that his spiritual power had increased by at least 2,000 in that instant. Even though this extra 2,000 spiritual power was foreign to him, and didn't quite match his own internal energy, it could still be used for his next attack. Light Elemental Augmentation Magic. A powerful 6th rank light element support magic. It had an excellent effect when used to assist a fellow light element practitioner. It could increase spiritual power by 2,000, which was an astonishing amount. You see, even a 5th rank knight typically had only 2,000 spiritual power. Faced with the onslaught of ice and fire, the Temple Knight didn't dare to withstand it with the sacred light fire, so, reluctantly, he had to slightly slow down his charge, lowered his spear, and 2 blinding golden lights suddenly burst forth. At the same time, he raised his shield with his left hand to block from the side. 2 deafening explosions resounded in the air, and the unicorn visibly trembled, its eyes revealing a look of pain. Even the Temple Knight himself felt quite uncomfortable. Though he had broken through Xiaohua and Xiaolan's attacks, the abrupt changes in temperature between ice and fire had caused his own spiritual power to become extremely unstable. And it was precisely at this moment, he had already charged from below and arrived in front of LongHaoChen. With his spear pointing forward, he thrust it straight towards LongHaoChen's chest. LongHaoChen stood on HaoYue's back, maintaining a stance with one leg forward, his left hand holding the brilliant holy shield already gripped firmly. He boldly blocked, and at the same time, a golden light silently appeared behind him. crimson golden flames instantly enveloping longhaochen, and simultaneously, a dense golden halo rushed forward to meet the Temple Knight's attack. All of this happened very quickly, and the onlookers only saw longhaochen and the Temple Knight attacking and defending. Completing their first clash, the Temple Knight, riding his unicorn, passed by above longhaochen's head, while longhaochen, who had taken a defensive stance, stepped back half a pace, golden light radiating from his body, executing the divine guard block. The observing examiners widened their eyes in astonishment, a 6th rank against a 7th rank, and he blocked a full-power 7th rank attack unscathed. What they didn't know was that during the battle, HaoYue and Yiting played a crucial role in amplifying longhaochen and weakening the opponent. Furthermore, longhaochen had used the divine guard block, renowned as the strongest defensive skill for knights. It could withstand a full-power attack head-on, which meant that longhaochen had the strength to contend with his opponent. The unicorn circled in the air, then turned to face longhaochen once more, and the Temple Knight's expression grew even grimmer. The moment his spear struck the brilliant holy shield, he felt as if he were striking a mountain, even though he had been significantly weakened and had activated the radiant body. He should have had the attribute advantage over longhaochen. However, contrary to his expectations, he was surprised to find that it was his own attributes that were being suppressed. It seemed that longhaochen's light attribute was purer than his. Additionally, the being floating behind longhaochen, was that a light elemental elf? Why did it appear so substantial? Moreover, it seemed like she had just used a skill to block my attack earlier. At this moment, Yiting was maintaining a height of several meters, silently hovering behind longhaochen. Roar! All 4 heads of HaoYue simultaneously roared angrily towards the unicorn in the sky, and faintly, a massive purple shadow appeared behind HaoYue. Though the entire shadow vanished in an instant, and no one could clearly make out what it was, but in that moment, the unicorn in the air unexpectedly froze briefly, and then began to panic and sway in the air, slowly descending towards the ground. Spatial lockdown. Did HaoYue's roar actually create a spatial lockdown effect? Longhaochen has now seen countless battles, and he wouldn't miss an opportunity like this. His spiritual wings unfurled from behind, for wings flapping. His figure flashed, and he charged toward the descending unicorn. In his right hand, golden light shimmered, and for the first time, the goddess of Lin Xin was put into combat. A huge golden sword radiance, in the air, formed a terrifying fan-shaped golden light, heading directly towards the Temple Knight. The goddess of Lin Xin emitted a humming sound that seemed to release years of pent-up emotions. It was as if it was venting its accumulated emotions over the centuries. The Temple Knight was also extraordinary. Faced with this sudden situation, he quickly abandoned his shield in his left hand, pressed his left palm on the unicorn's back, injecting his powerful light elemental power into the unicorn to stabilize its posture. And at the same time, his spear in his hand thrust out like lightning, the tip of the spear, aiming directly at the core of longhaochen's strike, which happened to be the point where the Azura strike's light screen and the goddess of Lin Xin's blade met. Clang! A clear collision sound created ripples of sound waves throughout the arena. It was clear to see that a golden mark appeared on the Temple Knight's armor. This was the residual effect of Azura's strike. However, longhaochen's attack had ultimately been blocked by the Temple Knight. But the Temple Knight's astonishment had only just begun. His spear clashed with the tip of the goddess of Lin Xin, naturally. It pierced through the spiritual pearl that was there, and the tip of the spear melted at an astonishing speed. In the brief moment of contact, the tip of the spear had melted away nearly half a foot. Not only that, a purple light flashed, and HaoYue appeared out of thin air beneath longhaochen, his large tail swinging fiercely, striking the unicorn and the Temple Knight. Not good! The Temple Knight inwardly exclaimed. His left hand quickly grabbed the shield hanging from the saddle, while his foot pressed on the stirrup, and he darted horizontally from the unicorn's back, colliding with HaoYue's long tail.